Hello, everyone. Welcome to the presentation. Thank you for joining us. We're happy you're here. So some details about this webinar. You are currently in listen-only mode. However, you should be able to hear us. Even if we can't hear you, let us know if at any point there are some technical difficulties. As for this session, it has been pre-recorded, but we are here live to answer your questions. So please ask questions in the chat throughout the presentation as they come up. It's a live Q&A, essentially. We won't have time after the presentation to answer questions, so make sure that you're really putting them in the chat as they're coming up for you, and we will answer them in the order received. All right, so let's get started. You are here to learn about study abroad opportunities for history majors. This is one of the sessions that we offer during GLOW Week, which is an acronym. It stands for Global Learning Opportunities Week. You can learn about all the kinds of study abroad offerings, financial aid, scholarships, and we also have some major specific ones like today, study abroad for history majors. So who am I? I am Kelly Suniga, and I'm an associate director at IEO for advising and outreach. And I was a Bruin. I studied abroad twice in France. I was a French major, a global studies minor. So very passionate about this, and I'm happy you're here today. And I'm also happy to be joined by an undergrad advisor from the history department, Jeanette Gonzalez. And so I'll let Jeanette introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jeanette Gonzalez. I'm one of the undergraduate advisors for the history department. I'm excited to talk about study abroad opportunities for everybody. I was a Bruin, but didn't get the opportunity to do study abroad. That's only because I didn't focus on the deadlines. It was a little too late for me, but again, that's why I'm here. Hopefully everyone gets that opportunity to study abroad. I've only ever traveled internationally to Mexico before, but it's amazing to see how immersed you can be in a culture just in a few weeks. So hopefully everyone takes the opportunity, and I'm ready to get started.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I agree with everything you said. All right. So you hopefully know all about the history department and who they are. Let me introduce the IEO if you are not familiar with us already. We are the UCLA International Education Office, also known as UCLA Study Abroad, because we are a one-stop shop for study abroad. Kind of a tongue twister, sorry. You can come to us for any kind of study abroad opportunity. We have advisors who can help you integrate it into your time at UCLA. We have coordinators that are building some of these programs with you in mind. We also offer opportunities for you to connect with returnees, so students that have studied abroad in your major and or studied abroad in general in a certain location. So if you ever want to talk to a student that has had the experience, we know that is a valuable connection, the peer-to-peer one. Please reach out, we can connect you. So again, Global Learning Opportunities Week, GLOW, happening now. Go to our website, ieo.ucla.edu/glow, to access our entire schedule. We also have an in-person event that took place yesterday. We hope you were able to join. If not, I'll let you know at the end how you can contact us and visit us in person. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? So we've already welcomed you. I hope you feel welcome at this presentation. We are going to then move into a Study Abroad 101 refresher, give you an overview of what we do, and then we'll get into it, the reason you're here, right? How to study abroad in your major. And finally, we will end with some sample programs and coursework that you can consider. All right, so Study Abroad 101 refresher. We have this session, it's an hour session, so I do recommend that you watch this if you haven't already. However, we know that it's already Thursday, so you may have to move on with your week, so I am going to give you a refresher. So what's covered in Study Abroad 101? In Study Abroad 101, we go into the program types in detail, right? Who it's for, when to apply, all of that. We also talk about how the credit transfers over into your degree. We go over costs and funding. And as I mentioned, we talk about the application process and the timeline in great detail. What is covered in this session is we focus on programs that have strong offerings in history or are thematic and made for history majors in particular. Student returnee advice, we were not able to get any students today, but as I said, you can reach out to us and we can connect you with students in the history department that have studied abroad. And then Q&A, please know that you can enter your questions to the chat at any point during this presentation. All right, so program types, a refresher for those of you who are not in Study Abroad 101. These are the different types of programs that you can take advantage of as a UCLA student. So we have university immersion. This is where you study at a local university with local students and other UC peers. This one is administered by UCAP, which is the system-wide office, and you go abroad with students from all over, right? All of the UC campuses. This is known as a more traditional study abroad, but really the study abroad has evolved so much over the years. Then there's UCLA faculty-led. So these are short-term experiential courses on the go with UCLA professors that take place in the summer only. So you take a UCLA class abroad, that location becomes your classroom in many ways. It's very experiential. Intern research abroad, we have a global internships program that takes place in the summer, and it's similar to the faculty-led programs, which I didn't mention the name, those are travel study. So they are similar to travel study in that you are taking a UCLA course abroad. And what's special about global internship programs is that you are in an internship for most of the time, in person at different locations around the world. And so the focus is really the internship. Now, that is not the only way that you can do an internship. UCEAP has internship opportunities in the summer and during the year, and you can receive credit for that in different locations. There are also opportunities to do research abroad and receive credit for it. So lots of study abroad opportunities. There's really no excuse for you not to study abroad. And we hope that we're getting this information to you in a timely manner so that you can choose a program and take advantage of it. All right, so how do you narrow it down, right? You might be feeling a little overwhelmed right now because I'm telling you there's a lot you can do. So we recommend that you go to our website. We have this tab that's called How to Choose Your Program. And there's different things to think about, right? What you want to study, any locations that you want to explore, as parts of your identity that you wonder about in terms of how are they going to intersect with different locations around the world. You can read about that on our website. So that's a helpful tool, along with, of course, talking to us. So another question that we get is about financial aid. So can I use my UCLA financial aid for a study abroad program? And yes, absolutely. If you submit your FAFSA or the DREAM Act application by the deadline, then you will receive a financial aid package. Now, how much will depend on your need and the time that you go abroad. So connect with the financial aid office or watch the financial aid webinar that we have going on this week. We also get asked, are there scholarships? Yes, absolutely. Our office has scholarships that we offer students. If you go through a UCEAP program, they have scholarships. There are also national scholarships like Gilman, Boren, Fund for Education Abroad, Critical Language Scholarship. The list goes on. You can find more information about this through dedicated GLOW webinars. You can also go onto our website. So we really care about access here. So we will always talk to you if funding is a concern. Please, please, please reach out. Like anything else with study abroad, the earlier you start, the higher chances you have of securing additional funding for your time abroad. So when to apply? You can start applying as early as 9 months before start of the program. So in the fall, students are preparing to go abroad in the summer, right? So that's like about the 9-month window. And the students are also thinking about going abroad next fall. So 9 months to a year before is when you are planning. Same thing in the spring. If you would like to go abroad winter and spring, then you are applying during the winter and spring for those terms. The deadlines do vary by program. So if any of these programs speak to you today, please look up the deadline on our website. And again, you can always talk to us if it's confusing to navigate. So is it competitive? Generally, no. Most programs, we look at the eligibility criteria. If you are eligible, we are so happy to nominate you. We know that UCLA students are the best of the best. Now, just keep in mind that there are some that are first come, first serve. So they have a limited capacity. So, you know, it's not personal if you don't get a spot. We really just go by whoever applied first. So when you're looking through programs, if it says registration predicted to fill up quickly or limited capacity, I encourage you to apply as soon as you know that you are interested in that program. So can you apply or register now? So yes, for some programs you can. Some of them opened in this month, and some of them will open next month in November. And again, that's for summer, fall, or the year. I haven't even mentioned the year, but you can study abroad for a whole year. All right, so that was a little refresher. Let's get into it. Studying abroad as a UCLA history major. So I'm actually going to pass it along now to Jeanette for her to start talking about what those look like for you.
Thank you, Kelly. So again, study abroad, something to just consider is that you're not obligated to study abroad in your major. So in this instance, it would be history major. You can always consider doing study abroad to fulfill GE requirements, a minor, foreign language, academic units, or just for professional or personal enrichments. So just keep that in mind. You don't necessarily have to do study abroad in order to fulfill your major requirements. And for the most part, most of the programs for study abroad are not designed around a major. So feel free to expand your search beyond the history major. Now, if you do want to study abroad in consideration of your history major, these are just some things to keep in mind. For UCEAP specifically, just know that we don't pre-approve your courses prior to the program. So, even if you have a copy of the syllabus, we can't pre-approve anything. You'll have to first take the course, transfer the credits to UCLA, and then after it's articulated, then we can go ahead and see if it will be credited towards your major. Now, if it does come in as a history course and it comes in as a lower division course, it will be accepted for your major prep. If it comes in as a history upper division course, then it would go towards your major electives or what's counted as your 10 upper division history requirement. And then something else to just keep in mind, only a maximum of 16 units can be applied to the major. That's typically about 4 UCEAP courses if each course is 4 units, but the magic number is 16 units, nothing over 16 units. And then another thing to just keep in mind is once your courses have been articulated, just make sure to reach out to our department, the history department, so that we can go ahead and petition those courses towards your history major requirements. And then other things to just keep in mind is that you can do study abroad any term, summer, fall, winter, spring, the full academic year if you'd like. And then you can also earn internship or research credit, but you just need to make sure that you're taking it for a letter grade. And again, that it transfers as a history course. And IEO has this incredible document that's ready for all students. And it just gives you a brief idea of what you should keep in mind when you're choosing your study abroad program. It mentions everything in the slides, maximum 16 units. If you're looking for courses towards your major, just keep in mind and choose history courses. Again, they're not guaranteed to transfer in as history to UCLA, but it's a good thing to keep in mind. And then if you ever have any questions when it comes to study abroad, whether that's UCEAP or travel study, which we'll go over in a couple of slides, just email us. Our email is undergrad@history.ucla.edu. And then just wanted to reiterate, UCEAP specifically, we can't pre-approve these courses, but if you're looking for a program that does guarantee that your courses will transfer in as history courses, that will be a different program called Travel Study, which we'll go over in a couple seconds.
All right, thank you. Yes, so now we'll get into those sample programs, and we actually do start with travel study, which is the ones that Jeanette just mentioned. So travel study, again, as a refresher, it's a summer-only program. You go abroad with UCLA faculty, which is why the courses are labeled as UCLA history courses. There is no guesswork as to how they're going to transfer over into your DARS. The duration of these programs in general for travel study are between 3 to 5 weeks. Program offerings will be confirmed in November, meaning that's when registration opens. However, these programs are likely to run, but always check back. And what I mean by this is the history programs. Travel study will be around, but I'm going to go and show you some history programs in a second. And so just confirm in November that they're still open. There haven't been any changes. As far as we know, they're still going. So what are the options that you have? There is History and Classics, exploring ancient Rome. So it happens to take place in Rome, right? So you are there learning about history with the faculty, UCLA faculty. This one has run for 4 weeks. And the coursework that you're taking there is History 112C, the ancient Mediterranean world in Rome, and then 112E, the monuments of Rome in historical context. So just imagine yourself learning about these monuments while you're seeing them, right? Or learning about where they were once. And through this program with Travel Study, you are able to satisfy 2 of your upper division history courses. So again, there's no guesswork about how these are going to translate over into your DARS or into your history major. And for some students, that's what they're looking for, something very straightforward. All right, another opportunity is Ancient Greece. This one takes place in Greece. It's a 3-week summer program. You are doing 112 BD, 112D, so History of Ancient Mediterranean World, History and Monuments of Ancient Greece. And there's also an option with this one to take a directed research course. Again, you are able to satisfy major requirements here. So 2 upper division history courses. And then as a general education requirement, it also counts, one of these courses has been approved for the diversity credit in your general requirements. So that's pretty cool. It's a way to satisfy different requirements. And that's a group of students that have participated in the past. All right, so that was Travel Study. That is the more straightforward option. And then UCEAP, that's what Jeanette talked about in great detail, right? These are the system-wide opportunities. They take place throughout the year, right? So summer, fall, spring, and year options. And it's a UC system-wide program. So here are some examples. There are a bunch, but I'm just going to highlight a few. University of Bordeaux in France, that is one program where students have found history courses in the past. So there are 2 terms, 3 terms, fall, spring, year, that students can study abroad for. And students can satisfy GEs, major minor requirements, and or foreign languages program. So again, you don't always have to think about just your major requirements when you're abroad. And students are able to find content courses in English, also French, if students have more than 2 years of French, and that's 2 years of university level French under their belt. There is also a homestay with the French family available, which will mean a lot of gains in your French language proficiency. And there's also excursions to nearby cities and towns. So, you know, that is one of the advantages of doing a program like UCAP during the year, is that you can study abroad at a local university and have more of that immersive experience in that sense. Sample courses in history have been History of French Gastronomy, Dreamers and Radicals, Alternative Cultures in the 19th and 20th centuries, and then History and Politics in Africa. All right, Yonsei University. So if you like K-pop, you're probably thinking about Yonsei. So this is in Seoul, South Korea, and students can study abroad in the fall, spring, or the year. Again, more than major requirements, right? Students can fulfill other degree requirements. Some of the highlights of Yonsei is that students can take content courses in English and study Korean on the side. If you have Korean language proficiency, then you have more courses that you can choose from. There is also a buddy program that is so popular, where students pair up with a local Korean student to work on their Korean proficiency. Through this program, there are opportunities to volunteer within the local community. So some sample courses here: Early Modern Korea and its historical sites in Seoul, Korean history and the world in the 20th century, and Korean literature and history. All right, another one, National University of Singapore. So some highlights here: content courses in English with local and international students. Students here have the opportunity to live in university housing, and so they participate in campus life, right? If you've lived in the dorms at UCLA, or if you know about dorm life, that's kind of what's happening here. You live in the university housing and there's a robust student life. Some sample courses that students have taken in history is Buddhism and Southeast Asian history, Gender and Sexuality, a Singaporean history, Metropolis, the city and world history. So, you know, students often ask, like, why go abroad? We have such great courses at UCLA. And yes, that's very true, right? but you're able to learn about different topics that you don't have here at UCLA, and you get to hear it from a different perspective. So just my plug for studying abroad. So I showed you three, and I felt like I was talking so quickly through them because I just know that there are so many. History majors can participate in more than 100 programs, meaning there are more than 100 programs in UCAP that offer history courses. Now, that's not to say that all of these courses will count, right? There is criteria. That is what Jeanette explained. So make sure that you're understanding that criteria, that you review it when you're looking through the course catalog, and a pre-approval is not given, right? But you have criteria, and that can really help you make an informed decision about the courses that you are going to take. And being that there are more than 100 programs, that opens you up to 40 plus locations through UCEAP. So if travel study isn't an option for you during the summer, know that you can also look into UCEAP programs. All right, so that was it. That was our quick, but hopefully very helpful presentation about options that you have as a history major. I encourage you to join our newsletter because you can hear about more sessions like today. And we have stuff throughout the year, right? And we also support you throughout that whole process. So right now we are talking to you before you go abroad, but while you're abroad, we send out information. We have video photo contests, for example, other resources to help you during your time there. And then when you return, we also send you information about events for returning students, opportunities to stay involved, workshops that we've created with the Career Center in order to help you articulate what you've gained, right, through this transformative experience. So my point is, join our newsletter and you will always be receiving the latest info from us. How can you contact us now? We definitely want to connect with you more than just in a virtual space. We are located in Murphy Hall, 1332. Check our website for the latest hours. You can also give us a phone call. You can also send us an email at info@ieo.ucla.edu. And we are also on social media through Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So check us out. If you want to see photos from previous participants, we put those on social media. And I want to say that if all of this just felt overwhelming, you're not sure where to start, I highly encourage you to go into our drop-in advising. That is for the student that comes in and says, okay, I just heard a presentation, but I don't know what it means, or I have so many ideas, so many thoughts, so many things that I want to look into. That's a great way to start that conversation, and then we'll take it from there. So thank you so much for your attention. Thank you, Jeanette, for your time and your attention as well to us, to study abroad, your dedication. We appreciate you being here. Anything you want to add? Some final words for students?
I just wanted to just mention to students, just like Kelly mentioned, if you have questions, reach out to the International Education Office. Also reach out to us if it's related to your history major. Again, our email is undergrad@history.ucla.edu. If you're interested, if you know you're interested, start reaching out so we could just really hone in those deadlines. Don't miss those deadlines, and hopefully you can take advantage of the study abroad program, maybe even multiple if your schedule allows.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for saying that. I was like, I want the history department to say it because I will always tell students to do it more than once. But yes, you are. Thank you, Jeanette, for that. And yes, so hopefully you got all your questions answered here today. If not, I think we've given you enough information to reach out to us. We hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.